Chiefs Kingdom, welcome into a brand new episode of the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. And today we have got some breaking rumors, you might say. Huge reports coming in around the NFL world, around the NFL space on Twitter, especially that the Kansas City Chiefs are the leaders in the clubhouse for a huge target at the running back position. The reigning Super Bowl MVP, one Kenneth Walker. Let's talk about these reports. The first one came in from, and this was just the second thing he fired off in his return. If you're a big time NFL Twitter user, I know you're familiar with Rickey Scoops, the notorious dog of the NFL Twitter space, always coming in with the rumors, always coming in with potential breaking news before it actually happens. And here's what Rickey had to say. He said, "Canine update from a canine." A little joke from him. It's very much his style. "I've been told that the Chiefs are the current favorite to land Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. The Giants are also interested. Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom, hashtag Giants." And Rickey had this. Absolutely, he did. But I will say he wasn't the first on the scene with a report like this. We were actually already going to talk about this because Albert Breer, about 2 hours earlier, put out in his mailbag this quote. He said, "I expect," speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, someone had asked him, I will give you a little more context here. Someone had asked him what he thinks the Chiefs will do at the running back position this offseason. And he said, "I expect that they'll at least make a run at Kenneth Walker in free agency and at a veteran position in any case, given that they can't necessarily count on Jeremiah Love being there at number 9. That's something that we've talked about a lot, needing to be prepared for alternative options here. There's not a ton of depth at the position in the draft outside of Love's teammate Jadarian Price beyond him. So, all signs, as of right now, point to the Chiefs very strongly making a run at Kenneth Walker. We're going to break down what he could bring to this team and what his contract might look like if the Chiefs were to sign him on today's show. But guys, this is why you subscribe. Anytime there's Chiefs news, anytime there's rumors around the Kansas City Chiefs, we break them down here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I always say it, but we are your one-stop shop for everything Kansas City Chiefs. And this offseason is the biggest in the entire career of Patrick Mahomes. I truly feel that way. If you want to continue the dynasty, if you want to keep things rolling the way they have been under Mahomes, keep him happy and keep him at the standard that he's been at, or keep the team at the standard that he has for it, I should say, this offseason has to be nailed, and we're going to be here to cover every minute of it. But let's talk Kenneth Walker. His stats in 2025, this was one of his best seasons of his entire career. Obviously capped off beautifully by the Super Bowl, but just continued a really nice run for him. And what he brings to the table that I think our running back room has lacked in recent years, especially this past season, is an element of explosiveness. You look at the past 3 seasons of Kenneth Walker's career, and he has been at or near 1,000 yards in every single one of them. Finding the end zone has been difficult for him as of late, but I think you've got to bear in mind that those numbers are deflated by the presence of Zach Charbonnet, who just hawks all of this guy's touchdowns. If you're a fantasy football player, I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. This guy's touchdown numbers could be significantly higher if the Seahawks just let him finish drives in the red zone. And like we've talked about on this channel over and over again, running back is an enormous need for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they know that it is. You look at this room, the top 2 guys in it, 3 of the 4 guys in it are outgoing free agents. Your top 2 contributors last year are outgoing free agents, Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. And to be honest with you, even if they weren't, it wasn't good enough last season. This room did not contribute the way the Kansas City Chiefs needed them to, with the lowest rate of explosive runs in the entire NFL. Wasn't even particularly close. The guys on screen generated, I believe, 1 combined run of 20 yards or more all season long. Kenneth Walker comes in and immediately transforms this room. He is so much better than the guys that we just had on screen. And you guys know I like Brashard Smith. You guys know I'm a big Brashard Smith guy. I believe in his ability to develop. And I don't think the Chiefs don't believe in his ability to develop, but they also know he's not ready to take over as the running back number one of this room. They need a Kenneth Walker. They need somebody like him. And we're going to talk more about what he brings to the table for Patrick Mahomes and for this offense and his projected contract in just 1 second. But before we do, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, my friends. And our drinking team merch, our Kansas City Chiefs drinking team tees are still available for purchase. My fiance was actually just telling me, and I hope he's not watching this video because it's going to spoil it for him, but my brother-in-law is getting one of these in the mail pretty soon. A pretty sweet Kansas City drinking team shirt. He's a huge Chiefs fan like all of us, so I know he's going to be thrilled about it. He's also going to be thrilled because it's just a super comfortable shirt to rock all year long. Rep the Kansas City Chiefs all year long. You can get yours at chatsports.com/KC Green. The link is on screen, and it'll be the pinned comment in today's comment section. So make sure you check it out if you want to be able to rep the Kansas City Chiefs on St. Patrick's Day this year. But speaking of the Chiefs, this is all about Patrick Mahomes. Every move, like we've talked about over and over again, this offseason has to be about supporting Patrick Mahomes and getting back to Super Bowl contention as soon as humanly possible. Because I've said this over and over again, but every year that you have Patrick Mahomes and you are not winning Super Bowls or in the Super Bowl contention, in that Final Four, in the AFC Championship, it is a failure of a season. I truly feel you have to evaluate it that way. That has to be the standard. It has to be a championship standard every single year. And your running back room last season was a huge part of the reason why you failed to maintain the championship standard. Kenneth Walker just won a Super Bowl. If there's anyone who knows championship standard right now, how to get back to that, it's him. He just did it. He was just at the mountaintop with the Seattle Seahawks, exactly where we want to be again. I think you need a guy like that in your locker room to re-energize things, to re-energize that element of the culture, and to transform this running back room. I think him and EB make a lot of sense together. What's the huge reason why EB is coming back? To restore discipline to this team. That's what everybody talks about with EB, to restore the standard. And I think championship standard should be the standard, and Kenneth Walker knows all about it. Do you want him? I want you to sound off for me, Chiefs Kingdom. Do you want Kenneth Walker? You get to be Brett Veach right now. We're going to talk about his projected contract next. But before we even talk numbers, based on everything we've talked about, based on what I think he could bring to the room, based on what I've told you he could bring to the room, and to Patrick Mahomes, do you want him? Because I absolutely do. I'd be spamming my yeses down there. If you agree with me, spam your yeses. If you do not, spam your nos. And let's see that projected contract number, Gage. What's it look like? $36 million over 3 years. This is not going to be cheap, my friends. It is not going to be cheap. I was sitting down there trying to come up with the right number here. And at the end of the day, I do think it's going to be at least, or it could be north of $12 million a year. This is a conservative estimate, I should add. At the end of the day, I think this is probably the least you get Kenneth Walker for. Don't be surprised if it's even more than $12 million a year, which is what 36 over 3 would be. But it's interesting, though, right? Because, and I actually, I'm not going to lie to you guys, a little behind baseball here. I had a video prepped for this weekend, and the video was going to be about a report that came out very recently that the Chiefs are targeting running back help in the $8 million per year range. Now, this is per Jonathan Jones of CBS, and it's quite interesting because now we have all of these reports from Albert Breer, from Rickey Scoops, and hey, maybe you're not a huge Rickey Scoops guy, but we'll just lean on Albert Breer. I think he's got a pretty reliable reputation that Kenneth Walker is the main interest for the Kansas City Chiefs. So we kind of have a source-off at the end of the day. Is it CBS correct that the Chiefs are targeting $8 million help, or is it Ricky Scoops and Albert Breer? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think it's Ricky Scoops and Albert Breer. I think the Chiefs want to be aggressive with this position. It lines up with what we heard at the beginning of the offseason, that running back is a primary need for this team, that running back is something they view as needing to be fixed urgently, and that doesn't then translate to me as, but we've got a very hard cap on the money that we're going to spend on it, and it's less than $10 million per year. That report never made a ton of sense to me at the end of the day. When I was putting together that show, I was like, I guess, but that just doesn't line up with what we've heard. But if that's what they're hearing, that's what they're hearing. But this new information makes so much more sense for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I feel it's a massive relief because the other targets, the other options, I'm going to show you the list of guys that we were going to talk about on the show that was going to come out this weekend. It was Rico Dowdle, Travis Etienne. We also had J.K. Dobbins on this list, Tyler Allgeier. 4 solid names at the end of the day. But are any of these guys anywhere near what Kenneth Walker could bring to this offense? Maybe Etienne. I mean, maybe you can make the argument for that. In the video, I said that he should have been the number 1 target, or Allgeier could have been up there as well. But if you're willing to spend more than $8 million, if that's in play, then there's only really one right answer, in my opinion. And that answer is Kenneth Walker. Absolutely has to be the answer for the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I know there's more news coming, though, my friends, and it is going to be a very busy week next week with free agency getting started, with the Chiefs starting to become aggressive. They've opened up a good deal of cap space. There's a chance they might even restructure Chris Jones to open up more, but I know we're going to get some moves. Hopefully Kenneth Walker is one of them. If and when they do sign Kenneth Walker or anybody else, we will have a video out on the channel, so make sure you are subscribed and make sure those notifications are on because you don't want to miss a minute.